Welcome to News with a View, hosted by me, John A. Costa, an expert on nothing, which allows me to make my opinions of national news events where I can give my opinion. This is a conservative-leaning podcast, but I do take in both sides of an issue. I'm a Federalist, a Republican, a conservative, not MAGA, and I try to keep it as unbiased as I can possibly be. Democrats, you're not making it easy for me. Actually, you're making it very easy, giving me a lot of material. And there's a lot of things that I discuss. 90% of the things that I discuss are in the federal scope that affects all the citizens. Some things in states, and I try to stay away from tabloid. Though I do have something that I probably will speak on today, a little bit with the tabloid. And it goes to my old alma mater, CBS television, where I was gainfully employed for over 34 years, 35 years? 35 years. So I know a little about CBS, even though I've been gone for, I think, over 11 years out of there. All right. Today's show. What a show. It's Sunday, May 17th. This should be episode 73. I apologize. 73. I don't normally do shows on weekends. I did one yesterday, and I'm doing one today because there's just enough in the news to make me laugh and have some fun with it, and then some things that are serious in the news that should be discussed and thrown out there for Monday. Real quick, one of my predictions on Friday was that without a settlement peace plan coming from Iran, that we would be duking it out. So hopefully, after the China visit by President Trump, there might be some type of understanding being worked out, maybe some time given to Iran through diplomatic efforts from China. Part of the problem in Iran is you wiped out a lot of people that made decisions. And so you have new people now being thrusted into the decision-making, and they don't last, So you don't know who you can make deals with. China obviously has a lot of inroads there, as does Pakistan. Don't trust Pakistan, and I realize, can we trust China? I think we can trust China. That's my personal belief. The quicker they get America out of the Middle East in the sense of where we are, the happier the happier China will be. They get a lot of their oil from Iran, and it needs to get done. Okay, today, I will discuss that again later on in the show. I'm only going to try to keep this to tops 45 minutes. Going off page a little bit here because, like I said in the beginning, I mainly deal with federal issues for the most part, but I did say I do get into states. And today in California, Long Beach Pride Festival has been canceled. This is a 43-year event that attracts the LGBTQ, XYZ, I don't know what else, people and supporters. Up to 80,000 people gather. So it's a big event. It's a multi-day, I think, celebration. But at least, on Sunday, that's their big thing. And it was canceled due to security issues, construction issues, and permits that weren't filed on time for this, which really surprised me since they had it before. They had it every year, and that they knew what the process was. So something happened. So the rug was pulled out from underneath them. The festival also was going to feature floats and stuff, and one of the floats I heard that was canceled prior to this cancellation was a float that had a piano with roses on it. But people have stated that a second float was being done with tulips on an organ. I don't know. So that's been canceled. Also being affected is, of course, the commerce that surrounds these areas that pick up a lot of money and, staying open and stuff. And one of them, a spokesperson who could not be named because they're not authorized to speak for this particular brand, a national brand of drugstores, said they're also affected, saying they are now overstocked on certain items such as Astrogel, KY jelly, and hemorrhoid creams. I don't know. Why was that newsworthy? All right, everyone. So we're done with that. I gave that my... Bob in New York, you're probably very interested in that. You might want to look that up. All right. Now to some serious business. Louisiana Republican Senator Bill Cassidy lost his primary bid for a third-term Senate seat. Now, you say, okay, what's the big deal here? Well, Cassidy was one of the Republicans that voted to impeach President Trump on his second impeachment. Remember, just as he was leaving office, they all ran and tried to impeach him a second time. Pelosi and Waters and Green and all these people who, So the impeachment, of course, did not go through. They impeached him in the Congress, but in the Senate goes, adios. So President Trump had said, I'm not going to support these people that did not support me when I needed their support. And Cassidy was just one of them. And President Trump supported Representative Julie Letlow, and he backed her. Also running there was State Treasurer John Fleming. So now these two ousted Cassidy in the primary. He's gone. And John Fleming and Julia Letlow, will have a runoff on June 27th to see who advances from the primaries to actually be on the ticket. Letlow is being, of course, being endorsed by President Trump, and the state governor is also supporting Julia. Normally, the senators in those states that are there, like let's say Senator Kennedy, they won't get involved in that. That is something, you got to do. That just has to happen. And Bob, that's not my lie meter going off that you said that anytime my phone rings or chirps is when I tell a lie. I thought that was hilarious. But you saw how I answered your little comment. All right. But it's interesting because Trump said he's going after these people that did not support him. It wasn't like, I just won't support them. They won't. No, I'm going to get you. I don't know if I would play that game. But we all know how President Trump is. And anyone who knows, you go hunting, the animal you're going after. So, President Trump now is going after Thomas Massie, Representative Massie from the state of Kentucky, also a Republican, is also not being supported by Trump, who called him disloyal and a sleazebag. But it shows if the president can get these two knocked off, Republicans, it shows that how much push he has with voters. And when you hear the Democrats saying that Trump is losing his own core people, ain't happening, folks. This is your barometer. This is your temperature gauge. This is everything you need to know about how voters, Republicans, are getting behind the president. And this is frightening to the Democrats, who are in total chaos right now. If you had listened to my podcast way back in the beginning, in the olden days of 2024, I said that when the Democrats lost, that they needed to take like a 90-day chill pill. And one question, just say, hey, the American voters voted. And, hey, this was a contentious and unprecedented elections. We never had a candidate step out of their run, so close to an election date. So there was a lot of emotion over substance. That's all I would say. And we look forward to working with our colleagues in the Congresses and with the president. And taking a deep breath, and everyone say the same thing. But no. They blew up, and there was no one able to contain that explosion. Schumer couldn't hold them back. Pelosi couldn't hold them back. Jeffries couldn't hold them back. And these guys then started running, to grab a life jacket. And it was like trying to herd cats. You couldn't. But there was, and this was the problem and is the problem of the Democrats today. They have no plan. Hating Trump is not a plan. Hopes and dreams are not a plan. Hopes and dreams are wishes. And unless you're at Disneyland, where, wishes do come true. Yeah, that's the only place they have that wishes come true. You need a plan. When the Republicans lost with Obama, they realized we need to have a plan. And then, of course, the Tea Party started. And that was a real radical red. And they said, hey, there's a place for you inside the party, but you can't be doing what you're doing. There is a place. So ratchet it down and let us put, I know we're all hurt and everything, but we're going to put a blanket around you and give you a nice hot cup of coffee. Sit down, come, welcome. And they did. They did. And Donald Trump saw this. And instead of going a Tea Party type of thing, I'm going to go make America great again. MAGA. And people liked it. He's a businessman. He's a showman. He's a huckster. He's a flim-flam man. You call him whatever you want to call him. But he knows how to sell. And what he was selling was what America needed to hear. He wasn't afraid of being canceled. You and I couldn't say, hey, I ain't hiring this guy with purple hair and a spear through his nose and lip. That's not what I want my clientele to see walking in the door of my business. Yet, you had the Democrats, DEI. Oh, no, you can't discriminate. Because, no, I'm not discriminating. It's just not a person I want here. But he has the credentials. I don't care if he has the credentials. I get to check the boxes, not them. And that started. And people liked hearing that. I don't want the government to control and tell me everything that I have to do. Not everything. And that's what was happening. The cry of democracy wasn't democracy. It was authoritarianism. They wanted to be over you every step of the way. And Trump said, no. Let businesses can thrive if they make the right choices, and they fail if they make the wrong choices. And he had businesses that were 100% successful, and he had businesses that were not. Some of them, those business failures were bad planning. Some of those business failings, like his gambling empire, was due to an unfortunate helicopter accident that he lost a lot of his top people. I'm sorry, today is really bad with the pollen here, so I'm sniffling. So let's get back to Massie, Republican, Kentucky. And he's being challenged by Ed Golrain. He's a local farmer and a veteran. And he's being heavily endorsed by Trump. In Kentucky, in the 4th district, congressional district, has seen the largest political costs in U.S. history for a congressional district. I think there was up to $25 million already being pumped out by the party. Massie has spent $5.8 million, and Golrain has spent $2.6 million. Yeah, $2.6 million, which is a lot of money. I mean, you're talking, $8 million just for these two guys. And these are both Republicans, both vying. It isn't like you're going to lose the seat, or the seat's going bye-bye, but it might be replaced by a supporter of President Trump. So, and you go, well, it's not even a one-off. It's just I got another person in there that is a Republican, but these Republicans didn't support Donald Trump. Now, Cassidy did support people that Trump brought in front of the Senate. And there were some people where he had said, I can't support them before they hit the Senate, and they withdrew, and, so not, Trump looks for loyalty. And Cassidy did not come out when he lost this. He said, he of course he's upset, and, and didn't name Trump personally, but said, I chose the people over one person, not the party, but over one person. And all right, you got to respect the guy for that, but obviously that he could not make that resonate with the voters. Granted, what they did was fracture that voting. If this might have been one against one, maybe he would have kept his seat. Or at least, goes out there and gets elected. You still had a Democrat running against him, and anything could happen. So by fracturing the seat, by fracturing the vote, now both these people that are going there want that seat. So we'll see what happens. But if President Trump gets to the point where he can now influence the Republicans in a particular state to go a certain way, this should be very telling to the Democrats. And he is going after Nancy Mace in South Carolina. Nancy Mace has left, and but she's running for governor, and he's already said crazy Nancy Mace, and she was a Republican who supported Trump. So loyalty runs very high for Trump. Sometimes you'd have to say, I could like the guy, I just can't go along with it. And I'll go along with him over here and over here and over here and over here, but over here, I really can't. And, he goes, hey, I need you to do this. And you can give him all the reasons why he shouldn't do it, but at the end of the day, he's the boss. And in business, if you don't do what the boss wants you to do, you're unable or unwilling. Bye-bye. And again, he treats his office as a business. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. There have been lots of presidents that ran that office like a business, both Republican and Democratic. That's just the facts as they stand. So if he is able to, President Trump is able to influence the voters like this, yeah, Democrats, I take a real wake-up call to that. And you better have a plan other than Trump's there. He's not going anywhere. You can say, if we get in there, we're going to impeach. Okay. Stop. If you get in there, the first thing you should be saying, we get in there, we're going to try our darndest to control prices, to control oil, to control this, to make things, not get Trump. He is controlling the Republican voter. You are not going to convert a Republican to a Democrat by going after Trump. You're just not going to do it. You have to have a plan. But the problem with the Democrats is the plan they want is the plan that America has already rejected. You're not getting a second bite of that apple. You've got to come up with a new plan with new people. And if you do not win, and I'm going to say you are not going to win in 2026, that's you have so much groundwork to do for 2028. I don't know if you can do it. I don't know if it's feasible. And if you lose 2026, which is a foregone conclusion, you will lose 2026. And you have to start looking then at 2028 to try to at least stabilize the loss. You know, the dam is breaking. Water's coming over the top. It's coming through cracks. You don't have time to rebuild that dam. The best you could do is shore it up, brace it up. Take some pressure off that wall. And then start thinking about rebuilding. But you got to have a plan. And it just can't be, I hate Trump. Because in less than almost 2 years, it's not going to be Trump. You know, the heir apparent could be J.D. Vance. It also could be Rubio. It could be both of them. And that would be a very hard act for a Shapiro and whoever else. And, you know, AOC and Newsom as a team. AOC trying to run into the primaries and she'll drag away votes. But it then gives her higher credibility, and she might then get a cabinet position for someone. You know, from someone who, if they were to win, and she aligns herself to that person. You know, it's not going to be Mayor Pete. People are just so done with this guy. You know, and he's trying to keep it low now, but they'll just bring up why the fact that didn't you tell America what you knew about Biden? And so I don't know if I can trust you. I don't know. You know, don't know. So I don't see a Mayor Pete coming up anywhere. You know, I mean, maybe Mayor Pete and AOC teaming up because they're both progressives and they both have fringe, you know, that I can get, 5% here and you can get 10% over there, and that's 15% from the get-go, plus the 28% that always votes this way. And now we're in the 32% area. Now we just need to get 19% of the people to come on board. And then we have 51%. And the Democrats outnumber the Republicans. So anything's possible. Anything is possible. But I don't see it coming to fruition in 2026. And if you guys lose seats in 2026, which you are going to lose seats in 2026, your chances of 2028 is nil. Nil. President Trump will be gone. And, that will be the end of that. There are things that the Democrats could start shoving out to kind of offset. I'm not going to help them with it. But if I was a Democrat, I know where I would be. I know where I would be attacking. So that's what's going on. The big news is that Cassidy's out, and Macy may be out, or Massie might be out. So there's a handful that are still left that Trump wants to. If he can get a hold of them, he's going to get a hold of them. Also, Jeffries spoke at the NAN, and that's not derogatory statements. That's the National Action Network. So he spoke about, democracy and how it could only be a democracy if all the people have a voice in the government. Well, all the people do have a voice in the government and in the republic. They already have that. Representative Jeffries. And if they all have a person that they want in the political office that will represent them, we already have that. That's already guaranteed, Congressman. Already guaranteed. And this is the problem that I have with Jeffries and his gang, is that he's saying we don't have those things, and we have them. And you'll have people go, oh, no, but those people are playing games with them. No, they're not playing games with them. Well, the Supreme Court, well, yeah. The Supreme Court. And not playing games, they get to interpret. Like it, hate it, that's the way it is. And I don't think the Supreme Court, when they ruled the 1965 Voters' Right Act and legislation to disenfranchise people, but that's what they did. That's what they did. Now, that's corrected, and a person of color who wants to run for election, they can run. They could run against who's ever running against them. Or they can run against a person that's already in office. No one is saying they can't do that. There is no loss of a voice, loss of identity. There isn't any of that going on. But where you said, hey, this street and over up to here and over is all one different color, and we're basing this on color. No. Because we're not allowed to base on color. You fought for that, and you won that right that you should have always had. So we didn't need this idea of redistricting. That was not a Republican idea from the get-go. That was done by a Democrat in 1812. So, Democratic representative named Gary. Well, Jerry was Greey, who redrew a map that looked like a salamander, and the press went, look, it's a gerrymander. So, gerrymandering. That's where it came from, folks. A Republican Democrat, that's what they were, and they became the Democratic Party later on. But it really should not have happened, but it did because both sides looked at it and would go, if he can do it, I can do it. And that's what happens. So now that's been terminated. And of course, part of this National Action Network is, the Reverend Al Sharpton's involved with it. And, but Jeffries going out there on Saturday and going, no, or Friday, whenever he made his talk on that network and on his little podcast. He misrepresents. He's telling people things that he's fighting for that we already have. What are you talking about? Already can do that. You're not offering them. That's not a plan because it's already on the books. That's been done. So, I do not like Hakeem Jeffries at all. If you've noticed in the last 8 months, he is always in my people to look at. Schumer, people to look at. Oh, look at that. Schumer took credit for blocking a bill that would have given the White House, through the Secret Service, $1 billion for security upgrades that are going to be necessary for the new ballroom. The ballroom structure is being paid for by people, donation, about $400 million already of the construction for the ballroom. But there are private underground bunkers, security. There's going to be needed. You got to make that bomb-proof. You got to make it so it leads away and goes elsewhere that they can get people out. And usually, that is in a budget, but they want $1 billion for this. And people are going, well, that's a lot of money. And you have Schumer going, well, no, that's money that could be spent on health care. And so he's all proud. I blocked this with the help of some, Republicans. I blocked this. Well, and these people don't think when you get up there and go, I'm blocking this because that money could be used towards health care. How about about $300 billion in fraud that we know of? That you helped secure, Senator. What about that? This is money being used not to build the ballroom. The ballroom's paid for. This is for security for the White House. And you're saying no. Now, Congress could go in there and authorize it, and it's done. It goes to the Senate. And what are they going to say? Senate's going to say no. We control the Senate. It could be done, but it shouldn't have to be done this way. This was like an administrative type of exercise for the Senate. They could approve things, and it just gets done. $64 million was spent in 2014. That was then work was started in 2019 after engineering and everything else for a new fence around the White House after a 2014 episode of someone climbing a tree and jumping over the fence. And that was a security issue. And, both parties said, yeah, no, we can't have that, and allocated $64 million for a new fence. Now, it's just not like a fence you and I would put up in our yard. This had every gizmo, and, if you tried to grab on the pipes up above to do it, they spin, so you can't get a good grip because it's constantly moving to your weight. So it would take a lot for you to get over that fence. And in that time, hopefully other security elements would act upon you. But you have Schumer pounding his chest, I did this to get the money to the people that are suffering right now. And yes, there are people, I don't like paying more for food and more for gas because of what's going on in the Middle East. But I like the idea that there will not be a nuclear-armed Iran threatening me with a missile, threatening Europe, and then Europe going, oh, U.S., no, we got to get you out of here because we're the ones that those missiles are going to rain down on. And you don't think that that was the plan? This was all a plan. And, if Iran were to do it, that Iran would know that they would be wiped off the face of the earth. But hey, martyrdom to these people was not a bad thing. Yeah. Our military is prepared to sacrifice if the cause is just. But we don't do it and go, we're doing it because, it's a good day to die. It's like, the Klingons. No, we don't do it for that. And you got these politicians and stupid, uneducated people that, we shouldn't do it. It's the Jews. No, because those nuclear missiles aren't going to distinguish against a Jew or a Christian or even another Muslim. The Muslims that die because we attack with a nuclear weapon, they're martyred. They go right to heaven and get their 72 virgins. No problem in that department for Allah. So, I don't know. All I know is that Schumer is fighting the wrong causes. Again, because he has no plan. He's fighting a ballroom. And saying that $1 billion could be used for helping, the Americans. Yeah, you could say that. But we look at your past people that you have helped. Yeah, no, Chucky. And this is where you're all foolish. In today's world, that information is just fingertips away. And computing power got better so we can look at things that you said and go, when did he say this? Did he ever say this? And what was it, the context in? And we can get that. And that's not AI, folks. That's just a much broader database and being able to compile it quicker. It's not AI. AI would be, hey, this guy said that guy said that. I looked up the information, and I've come to the conclusion that he's a little wrong and he's a little right. And if you really were looking at it this way, here's all the information. That would be AI, where they could be intuitive. They're not intuitive. And the only way they become intuitive is if a programmer programs them to be that way. And it hasn't been done. That's where all this talk, AI, and the jumping on board these companies and making investments. Very few people that I would say are qualified for businesses. And I'm not making a business. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just saying that I haven't seen AI in a practical sense. And you could say, well, how about a drivable car? A car that drives itself. Yeah. And then you have people go, hey, that AI, car ran someone over. And how many people get run over in a non-AI car? So it's just a big database. It's pre-programmed, and if the road in front of them was collapsing, the car would go right over it. It wouldn't know what to do. It might say, hey, I don't see the road anymore. Back to you, pal. But in that time now, you're sailing off the bridge. Where if you could see, hey, I see something rumbling up there. That bridge, I see it swaying. That car doesn't see that bridge swaying. Doesn't know to recognize it. You do. It doesn't know that, 95 is closed over here and there's a dirt road over here and I could take that dirt road and go up there and get back on there. It doesn't know that. You do. So it's not intuitive. It's not going to make decisions like that for you. All right. This has been 52 minutes. I am done. I am finished. Screw Jeffries. Screw Schumer. Long Beach Pride Festival people. Oh well. Better luck next time. Next time, get those permits in. And again, I don't know why they didn't, but something must be afoot. But you had your big day canceled. Oh well. Please give to a charity if you can. Just make sure it's a legit charity. Do not become a victim trying to help victims. If you're not inclined to go that way, think about giving to a local food bank. They always need food. It's local. You're helping people in your community that need assistance at that point in time. They can also always use a financial contribution. Say a prayer. Prayer does work, no matter what a Democrat may tell you. And if you're stuck this long, please comment, like, subscribe. That's all I ask you to do. Don't ask you to agree with me, side with me, none of that. But you should always listen to what the other guy is thinking. And mostly what I'm thinking. All right, everyone. Be good, be safe, as I fade to black.